This is episode number 172 of the Smart Marketing Show, COVID resurrecting QR codes. How does this change marketing? It's brought to you by ServerPress, makers desktop server. They make local WordPress development easy. Check them out at serverpress.com. And our new show, The Query, go check out wprcore.com/The Query. Ask Jason Cosper a question. If you want to support us, go over to Patreon at patreon.com/WPWaterCooler. I'm Jason Tucker. I'm an IT director and web developer. You can find me over at Jason Tucker on Twitter. And this is my friend Bridget Willard. She's a marketing consultant. You can find her at YouTube Can Be a Guru on Twitter. And also, if you didn't notice, there's ways of subscribing to the show in multiple ways. If you wanted to subscribe to us as like on YouTube or on as a podcast, there's a myriad of ways to go about it. So just look wherever it is that you go and download those sorts of things and search for us. And if you don't find us, let us know. We'd appreciate it. Bridget, how you doing today?
I am well. I am broadcasting live from San Antonio, Texas, Military City, USA. That's why there's 500,000 single men here, just in case you're wondering. Research, most of them are retiring in my age bracket and want to get married, and I'm not quite ready for that yet. So I'm chilling like a villain in my home office.
So what you're saying is you moved someplace where like you essentially loaded a deck. So you're good to go. Just come on, make it all happen.
I pretty much have my pick of the litter, which reminds me of the Scott Stratton book called QR Codes Kill Kittens. So that is what I thought of. I didn't read it because he used to rant about QR codes back in 2013.
Yeah.
Everybody was using QR codes, but guess what? We were not ready for this technology, not unlike most technology that comes out, right? And now we have a pandemic. Nobody wants to touch paper all of a sudden, even though paper money always carries the flu virus or any other kind of virus or E. coli or whatever you would like, or the U.S. mail. It's always been like that. Now all of a sudden, restaurants are putting stickers on their tables and asking you to load a QR code, which fortunately for iPhone people, you don't need a QR code reader anymore. So fast forward 7 years, the QR code is resurrected. You cannot get rid of it. I pretty much doubt we'll ever really use paper menus, except for people like me who are annoyed at what the QR code pulls up.
Yeah. The QR code. The QR code thing is an interesting one because of the fact that I think when it was way back in the day, back when you and I were going to like these local meetups, and we would all just like fantasize about this QR code thing because it's this idea that you can just pull out your phone, take a picture of it. It takes you to a website. You didn't have to type in a web address, and magic. Yeah. So, and the thing is that the second I saw that, I can't remember I think it was 2 versions of the operating system ago on the iPhone. When that came out, that they were going to make it so that you could do that straight off the phone, just hold the QR code right at it. It shows up and you're good to go as long as the camera app's open. I mean, man, that changed a bunch. And I think at one point, if I remember correctly, Android had that same type of functionality, and now there's just Android's so fractured, and there's just so many different types of Androids that are out there that and the operating systems and its kind of variants that I could see why it just never stuck.
Welcome to open source.
Right.
We're not unfamiliar with that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But this is the time in history where the native ability and the actual practical use for the common person have collided. That's why I said COVID single-handedly resurrected the QR code.
Yeah, I think so. Very well.
And we had an episode earlier in this year after the pandemic began about restaurants marketing, because this is like restaurants marketing on Instagram, changing their menu, because they're the ones that are really trying to survive. Technology, apps, downloads, social media, website builds, anything. Zoom single-handedly went from something that IT people taught their employees, or maybe even didn't even teach it to them, set it up for them, to everybody literally and their grandma leading Bible studies in their home. It took me 4 hours to teach somebody how to start a Zoom meeting for a Bible study. Okay.
Yeah.
So like, everybody is using Zoom. Everybody is using QR codes now. And that's great. So some fancy salesperson comes into your restaurant and is like, you should sign up for this service and we will put your menu there. And the manager or the owner is probably like, yeah, that sounds great. Or at the franchise level, they're like making these decisions. And it goes back down to something we hammer on this show, on this network, which is, what is the user experience?
Yeah.
What are you serving with that technology? That's not over. Once they go to that website, what do they see? Because if they're going to a Google Doc, then it'll be mobile responsive and people can read it. If they go to a SoulSite.co, my client has those one page or a static website that's responsive, then they can see it. But if it goes to a PDF, and I swear, and it's more, before I would be like, I'm 47, I wear glasses.
Right.
Well, now I literally have 20/20 vision.
Yeah.
But the phone is 3 inches wide. Not bringing my computer to study your menu. And my computer doesn't load up the QR code. Okay.
Right.
So.
And mind you, you can still pinch to zoom. You can still do all this stuff, but those require dexterity. It requires patience of moving the thing around. If you were to just take the text and make the text fill the whole page across, and it's just one menu item after another down the road. If you wanted to get fancy, you can use accordions. So you can click on the accordion and the accordion pops open. So you get like a nice little accordion list of stuff. I mean, there's a whole bunch of ways of kind of making a good menu work. But yeah, the QR code side of things, I mean, it's awesome to be able to do that.
I was at a local chain last week, and it's a big chain in Texas. It might even be other places, but I've never heard of it. 54th Street Grill. I don't know. Anyway, so you go there, and then the thing is that people don't want to serve you until you are ready to order.
Makes sense.
So the first thing is, okay, so I know how to use the QR code. I'm fine. I look at my menu. How do you know that I'm ready to order? If it was a real restaurant, a real menu, a physical menu, like you have your menu, you're opening it. Everybody can see that that's what you're looking at. Yep. And then you put it on the edge of your table sticking out. Right. This is like the universal sign that I'm ready to order. But with our phones, which I put mine in the other room so it doesn't distract me, but with our phones, okay, well, I know what I want to order. Now I'm going to check Twitter like I would in real life, in a physical situation. Okay, I know what I want to order. So they need some kind of like flag, or because I literally had to, I had to stop using my phone. So I just sat there like this. The waiter kept passing me by. And suddenly I was just like looking to make eye contact with anybody who would pass me by that looked official. And this lady said, "Oh, can I help you?" I'm like, "How do you order?" Like I started thinking, because, okay, here's the other thing. So the QR code, it made me register with my phone number. Because they're doing what they're supposed to, which is
text message.
No, it has to do with, I know they're doing this in Europe because Warren was telling me about it. They're tracking you in case so that they can track back.
Oh, okay.
Right. Okay. So then I thought, well, wait a second. Was I supposed to do something else to order? Was I supposed to order on the website?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know, right? And so then I just said, how do I order? And they'll go, oh yeah, I'll just send your waiter over. And it was that guy, that kid, who walked by me about 4 times. And all I wanted was a cheeseburger. That's it. And I was hangry too. So I was trying to be patient and not like that Californian. Plus, like the whole Texas thing is way slower, which is why I moved here. But I was just like, wait, because then I started, like, here I am. I'm thinking of myself in the customer's shoes because I am the customer. And I'm thinking, oh, am I doing this wrong? I've never been in this restaurant. I've never had to use my phone number to register. There is a lesson in that.
Yeah.
But when a customer gets confused, QR code or whatever, any situation, then they start to wonder if they did something wrong.
Yeah, we were experiencing that at the church before we went into COVID-19 lockdown type of situation here, where the folks would come into the church and we have a check-in, not a check-in, but like we have a sign-up form that people would fill out. And so there's a big piece of paper which hilariously has a QR code that's the entire width of this paper, and you pull out your phone and you try really hard to make sure that you get that thing in frame, and then after that you go and fill out a form and you're good to go. And I had one lady, I was in there because like whenever I launch something new like this, I always stick around for probably like a week or two just to make sure things are working before I go like, okay, I'm handing this off, you're good to go. And then I'll go off and do another project. So I'm watching her struggle to figure out how to get a QR code thing to work. She had a really old iPhone, and it was running a very old version of the operating system. And I did kind of go back at one point and did the research to find that like that iPhone just couldn't run the latest version of the operating system, so she would just never be able to do it. And she's like, do I have to have a special app for this? And I'm just thinking, like, should she? Maybe she should. Am I going to have her install an app? Do I want to have this conversation of, do you remember what your password is? And I'm like doing the whole IT, shuffle to figure out like, what should I do? What should I not do? Come to find out, like, our web address for this thing is like, it's just a short link that's super easy to just type in. And, our address, internet address it's just 4 letters long. So it's like wacc.net. Like, it's super duper short. So like, why would you just like do that /check-in? Boom, done. That's it. So she just went to that real quick and it loaded up and she's like, oh, thank you very much. And then somebody else is like, I was having a problem with QR codes as well. And I was like, oh, okay. So that brings me back to your restaurant scenario. What happens when the person just walks in and they pull out their janky iPhone, 3GS or whatever, and they're trying to take a picture of it? It's taking a picture of it instead of it waiting for the little notification to show up at the top. Like, yeah. What do you think their fallback procedure is for that? And do they have a bunch of menus in the back ready to go? I think
they have paper menus.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird and ironic because of all the people who think that we're ruining the planet, whether we are or not. It's not the point. We've gone back to single use, right?
Yeah.
You don't have salt shakers. You have packets. Because, it's everything everybody used to be upset about, which is who is touching this stuff? Now, the people like me who have autoimmune diseases are like, oh, this is how I've been living since 2005. So welcome to my life. You touch a napkin and then you touch the ketchup. Nobody's touching that stuff because it's nasty and it doesn't get cleaned after every table. It doesn't. Yeah. Okay. So if you're, that's just normal. But at some point, the cost and the sustainability issues are going to be a problem for restaurants. Yeah. This is not a long-term solution. And, Beth wrote in the comments.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
If I have to give my phone number to a restaurant, I'm leaving. And that is an interesting thing. And that's why I was so surprised about it, that Warren was telling me that was his experience in one of the cities he had to go to. I think it was Hanover with his students, because Europe's all about privacy. They're the whole reason we have another pop-up on a website now, right? But then you go to a coffee shop for lunch or something, you have to give them your phone number.
Yeah.
Like parole officer lunch. Like, I don't know about that. Like, I was fine with it because whatever. And it made me think of Yvonne Conway Williams.
Yeah.
Oh, the doggy. We never get to see the dog. So in her security talk she gave a couple of years ago or Camp Orange County, she's like, yeah, just give false information for all that stuff. What's your maiden name? Tarzan.
Right.
What city were you born in? Lithuania. Whatever. It could be anything. It just has to be the same answer. So I wonder if people are going to go 867-5309. Jenny.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do that, but then it defeats the purpose because Jenny gets around clearly, or that guy gets around.
True. Cool. Could we talk a little bit about like the tactics people should be using for QR codes?
Yes, please.
All right, so I'll start with pitfalls, and then we'll kind of work our way backwards. So, and because of the fact that I've used these at work and have used these for clients' sites and clients' marketing and stuff, QR codes they're single use. Like you can only make it once. You take whatever web address, a phone number, an SMS. Like you can do SMS over QR codes. There's a whole bunch of different types of ways that you can use QR codes. But once you create that QR code, you go onto one of these QR code generator websites, which I'll talk about that in a minute. You go in there and you put in the web address that you want it to go to, and you submit it. And then let's say that you hypothetically work at a church where somebody submitted a URL that you're going to do. You make a QR code, somebody runs out and goes and makes a zillion copies of this thing that's going to have a QR code on it. And then come to find out that on the same day you go to take a photo of that QR code and it takes you to a 404 page because for some reason somebody misspelled the URL.
Sad panda.
Right. So to save yourself the headache, if you can somehow make sure that that QR code is going to be using some type of redirection, either a redirection that just happens on your website or a redirection that's like through Bitly, or it's using some other way that you can then go in and quickly change it if something screws up. That's a good thing. And if you also wanted to make sure that, every time somebody goes to this thing, that you're getting a count of how many times it gets used. These are all benefits that you get from using some type of redirection service, because you can change the URL if something screws up. It makes a URL smaller, which means that the QR code doesn't have to be as complicated, because the more words and letters within the QR code, the more complicated that weird blob is supposed to look like. And so you kind of need to just work through what's the best process to make sure that this is going to work for you. And I think you have to get screwed over once or twice to realize like, oh, I can't just put a raw URL into this thing and then expect it to work down the road.
Well, that's why we have this show, but I'm going to raise my hand.
Yeah, please.
People in the audience, redirect service.
Yeah. So
you mean
like it could be Bitly.
A link shortener?
A link shortener. It could be, and that's why I'm trying to like broaden that and use a different term to it. It could be a link shortener. There's a company, or rather an open source project called URL or YOURLS that you can use, and that's a free one that you just install on your own website and it'll do it. Actually, our was it WPWC? Yeah, it's a WPWC.co is our URL shortener.
How about a subdomain?
Yeah, you can do a subdomain too. It could be a subdomain. So if you have like a really short URL and then you want to do a subdomain to it, like QR dot something, you could do that too. So there's a couple ways to approach it, but I think the real piece there is you want to make sure that it's something that you can change later, because as you know, Bridget, you write a book, you print the book, and it's printed.
Yep. And I went and looked for like 84 footnotes, and I had more than one 404 on blog posts that I quoted from.
Wow, really?
Yeah, because I started writing those. They were originally blog posts. I started writing them in 2011.
Oh,
There's a lot of 404. Like, don't delete stuff off your blog, people. And I found somebody that spoofed a URL from Amy Donahue. And
really?
spoofed. Well, it took her old URL and all the content that used to be on it and claimed it as their own. It's really interesting. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But
that is.
Another good footnote for right now is, y'all, Jason just said make a specific URL. So that's going to go to a landing page. We have 2 episodes with Jen Miller about landing page best practices. Go find those. You don't want a bunch of navigation. You just want what you want on that page.
Yeah, and I will say also, like, if you're going to do something like we did with this, which is
that's a QR code to my book.
There's a QR code to your book. Make sure that you actually put a little bit of white space around the QR code, especially if you have a complicated background that's happening like I have on here. Having that white background is going to help out a lot. And also making sure that URL, which we ended up using the Amazon, I don't know if it's an affiliate link, but the Amazon URL, that's the shorter version of it. Make sure that you're using the shorter version of it, so that way it's less complicated. Because every one of those little black boxes and little weird things that are all around it, that's information that the computer's having to look at to determine, which place to actually go to.
It's not an affiliate link for the FCC. But I do get $2 if you buy the book.
Well, there you go.
Thank you very much. Like, I don't want to get in trouble with the FCC.
So I wanted to also kind of mention using a QR code generator and how you should be kind of looking at that. So nothing's forever, and websites go out of business all the time. And so, we're talking about a few things here. One, that, if you're using something like Bitly, hopefully Bitly doesn't go out of business. So let's make sure that that's okay.
Or Automatic doesn't buy them.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Or the domain name doesn't get re-registered, and now you're at a point where you can't even use that thing anymore. So you may have these QR codes that are floating around in a book, and now people can't go to your footnotes or whatever.
Wait. Wait, the QR code, does it go to a website and then redirect to the redirect service you put in?
Ooh, well, see, that's what I was just about to bring up. So some QR code generator sites will go to them first, then redirect elsewhere. And other ones just take the raw data and then redirect it. And the way that you can check that out is on your iPhone. If you go and scan that QR code and look up at the top bar that pops up, the notification bar, it'll say it's going to Bitly, or it's going to wpwatercooler.com, or if it's going to we're a QR code service that's going to go out of business at some point.com. So you may want to look at that just to see.
Oh, because a lot of those restaurant ones, it's some service. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that.
I know, right? So that's why I wanted to bring this service up. So this company doesn't actually do any redirection stuff. They just point it directly to that QR code. So for instance, if we go to like, oh geez, my keyboard. I have a keyboard that has some issues. So if I go to wpwatercooler.com, right? There you go, Bridget. Now you don't have to zoom in with your face.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm pinching and zooming.
So the pieces within a QR code is that you can select the color. So if you wanted to select a color, or you could even get fancy and use a gradient if you like. A background color, which probably white's a pretty good one, unless you're doing like black on white or something, or white on black. You could put a logo in the middle of it, so it could actually show a logo. And if I hit generate, you can see what it'll look like over on the side there.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's what I did for yours. Is I uploaded your book logo in here, and then customize the design. This is where you can mess with things that don't really matter, but may matter to someone who is wanting to make this look a very specific way. So you can go in here and kind of select a few things and hit generate. And you can see that the complications have now changed from something that's blocky to something that's not so blocky. All these things kind of come with a bit of a hit in that you may end up making it so complicated that if you photocopied a photocopy that then got scanned and then faxed to somebody, then it's going to look pretty bad, and that generational loss is going to occur there. So try to find something that's very basic and use something that's very basic, just unless you feel like you want to make this thing complicated. The other piece to this is that some QR codes depend on if you have a logo that's in it or not. If you like remove the logo, for instance, and we'll scan this, you can see that the complication changed in the background. And that's because what you're doing is you're actually adding errors to the QR code. So if you were to cut a small part of this QR code off on the corner someplace, or this part over on the right-hand side got a little damaged or something, it would still scan. But if you add a logo to it, it can no longer be scanned. So you kind of want to look at that. Lastly, setting it how high of a quality or low of a quality is. If you set it really low, then it changes that complication. If you set it really high, it may change that complication as well. It also makes it so you can download high quality and low quality versions of the image, and you can do it as a PNG file or SVG, a PDF, or EPS. So yeah, take a look at that and see if this is something that will work for you. They work with everything. For instance, if you wanted to have it so somebody can make a phone call the second they scan it, or an SMS message, or make it so that your V card information is available.
Oh, that's cool.
If you're somebody who's like trying to sell Bitcoin or use Bitcoin to not sell Bitcoin, but use Bitcoin to do a transaction. This one, I don't know if anybody's really played with this, but you could actually make it so that if you provide Wi-Fi service like at your restaurant or something, and you wanted to actually password protect it, you could password protect it, and they can scan it. It'll automatically put in, like, your business names, SSID for the Wi-Fi and what the password is. So there's a whole bunch of like really cool ways to use one of these QR codes.
Can you use it for sending people money on Venmo, like tips for bartenders,
Totally.
karaoke people, musicians?
Yeah, if you wanted to upload the Venmo, I think Venmo's even in here. Is that Venmo? No, that's Vimeo. But if you wanted to put like a URL in here, or put in an image or something, if you wanted to have that displayed there. But yeah, you just put in the web address to the Venmo account, and then you're good to go there. Same with PayPal, or any of those would work good. But that's the basics of a QR code and kind of how one of those is generated. But like I said, be super careful that when you're looking at QR codes to test them and try to scan it. If your web address doesn't require www, maybe remove the www dot, so that way it makes it shorter and that doesn't make it as complicated. I don't know. I've even seen like billboards with a QR code on it.
That's when Scott Stratton used to say that this is when he just lost his mind, because
right.
No, look, you're not even supposed to be using your phone while you're driving, okay? And I feel guilty looking at it for directions. Even if I glance down and I'm not touching it.
Right. I know.
And you're gonna put it up to the sky. Come on. But it does make sense for being able to tip a musician and stay back away from them and not bother them also. But
especially if you make it big enough that it can be scanned from far enough away. If you have it real close, then it's if it's super small, then you have to walk up to them and actually do it.
Yeah, but if you made your banner,
you had an 8.5 by 11 QR code sitting right next to you, that would work 10 feet away, like no problem.
But I mean, you could put it on your banner that you put up that you're the band.
Oh yeah.
Like there's all these people doing concerts outside now.
Mm-hmm.
And you drive in your car, but if it's on the banner, then you could, it's more than just for restaurants, but it's like right now everybody's doing.
So one of the things I wanted to show you, you could see that little banner that shows up on the top. It's not in focus, but you could see that the web address says open wpwatercooler.com in Safari. So that tells me it's not being redirected in any way. So whatever service you're going to use to do a QR code generation thing, which the one I was showing was qrcode-monkey.com. It's just using the method in which you create a QR code. So it's not using something that's proprietary to them that they're like redirecting, or they're going to like steal your address at some point or anything like that. But I've seen plenty of these that totally do that. And you go scan it and it's like, go to qrscan.com/something. And you're like, oh no. So then you go to that and you can see it redirect a couple times as they collect the data that they need to get to where it is. So yeah, be careful out there.
Definitely. So definitely make it go to a landing page. Definitely PDFs are better than images for your well, I don't know. I think that you should be using images instead of text. In general, ever, anywhere, okay? That includes on Instagram, people. The Instagram is the worst. Not the platform, but the people on Instagram are the worst. And every time I just want to type, I can't read that. I can't read that. I want to be like, I guess they would call me Karen now. I just call myself Bridget, who has 20/20 vision and can't read your Instagram thing. So if you want to put all those words in there, guess what? Put them in your caption. Okay. So, and literally was going to sign up. Well, I did sign up. I just decided not to go to this networking group here in San Antonio. They had an event. I couldn't figure out how to even register. I was like, where is it? All they sent me was this giant image of a flyer. Okay. Stop designing for print first. Just stop designing for print first. Design it for somebody's phone.
I agree.
It's not a flyer. We don't want flyers on the internet.
Mobile responsive. It needs to be mobile responsive. It needs to be that if I've set my phone up to where I'm blind and I need to have every word be as big as the screen to be able to use it, then you need to build that so it does it that way. And if the entire website shows up on your screen, then you did it wrong. Right.
And that is an excellent point, Jason, because we have ADA codes. Okay. ADA is the Americans with Disabilities Act. It's not just ALLY hashtag. It's not just, it's physical, it's digital. So you have a big giant, your TGI Fridays or something. I didn't go there, so don't sue me or anything. I've never been to TGI Fridays in the last, I don't even know how many years, but let's just say you're at TGI Fridays and now you like somehow get to do that. You somehow can figure out how to scan the thing with in your low vision situation, low to no vision. Okay. So if it's an image of your menu, then you're not accessible. You've opened yourself to liability.
Yeah.
And loss of customers, which you should care about the most. But I mean, I feel like I shouldn't have to say, is there a cheeseburger on this menu? That's all. Do you have a Cadillac margarita? I couldn't figure it out.
Right. I don't know. I would need to speak to someone who knows a little bit more about ADA when it comes to something like this. But to me, it sounds like if you were to put a QR code and next to a QR code, you had in Braille, scan me as a QR code, or however you would be able to convey that.
Right.
Then the person who's blind people use phones, could scan that QR code. And if you built the website in such a way that's going to be the menu or the sign up thing or whatever, it will take you to a page that then their screen reader could say the things that needs to be said, telling you, okay, you're good to go, connect. And here's how to get into the queue for sitting down in the restaurant or to go, whatever.
Yep.
I think you hit all the things because you didn't have to go and create like a Braille menu. And you had to you didn't have to make it in Spanish and in French and in Italian. If if the website had all the conversion stuff on there, like use the technology that's available to you to kind of make it all work. One thing I was when I want to say it was maybe like 2 months ago or even 3 months ago, I was trying to go to a store to go pick up some equipment for my work, and it's an electronics store. And there was this huge line outside, and I was like, wow, what is going on here with this huge line? And come to find out, they were using like a service that you could pay for if you're a business to like add you to a queue. I think it was called like waitinline.com or something like that. But they had a QR code out front. You walk up and you scan the QR code. They also have a web address that was on there if you just needed to type it in. And then you can go and fill out the form that says like, I'm here to buy this thing, and here's, I don't need to speak to somebody, but I just need to go in here and buy it. And they were using that as crowd control to be able to make sure that only so many people were allowed to be in the building, and they can keep track of how many were coming in and out. But you could also sign up remotely. So if you're at home, you could scan it, scan off their website, or just go to the website off their phone to say that I'm going to be going to the store. And they would tell you like, when's the right time to come, and here's how, here's the map, so you can just get in there and get out as quickly as possible. So like, I don't know, if you're a business, you could definitely use this as a way of making it so that it looks like you care about your customers. And I think it would be really great for the customer to feel like they're being cared about because you took the time to provide a map, or took the time to provide a form that doesn't require you to put in a phone number, or doesn't require you to put in an email address or any of that sort of stuff, but they still got the experience of, just showing up anonymously to go buy the thing.
Yeah, because I think even people like me who have been fine going out in public since May 15th, I was like, you got 6 weeks of quarantine from me. That's all you're getting. To the person who's like, I'm not going out.
Right.
Either way, there is that mindset that I am making a choice. Do I feel like spending my money at this store? Because now it is a chore to go anywhere.
Right.
It's not even that fun to go out to eat. Like I do, and I enjoy it. It's fun when I go out with Rhonda, but it's not fun to go by myself. So I literally would rather have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich than sit there. It's not the same as when you could go, the single people could go eat alone at a bar and sit at the bar with other people so that you didn't feel like you were alone. Now I'm like, popcorn and ice cream is for dinner. I don't care. I don't feel like cooking. I don't want to deal with it. I like to cook more for lunch or make something more complicated at lunch. At nighttime, I'm done. That's why I used to like to eat at night.
Right.
And then you could be around people. Well, guess what? First of all, you can't be around people. And even if you do go to a bar, you're either at a table or you're 10 feet away from the next person because there's sets of 2 chairs. So why go spend the money to? So like even me, who's totally willing to go out,
right?
That experience, having another layer of frustration on the person who's willing to go and spend money.
Yeah.
Is that a good choice?
And I think one other kind of takeaway that I've seen, with this is that treat the customer the same way you've been treating the customer, which if they're an anonymous customer that just shows up at your business to buy a thing and leave, don't add an additional set of like hoops that they have to jump through in order to make a transaction occur. We've been doing a lot of that sort of thing at the church, where we want to make sure that we're not trying to collect data for the sake of collecting data, because for me, I don't like being a data hoarder where you just have this silo of data. I mean, GDPR will definitely explain that to you if you live in one of those countries that you need to deal with that. But or California,
California, Europe, or California.
Okay, yeah. But having those types of things where you need to worry about that, don't collect data for the sake of collecting data, and only collect the lowest amount of data that you need to actually make the transaction occur. Last 4 digits of social security number, probably not something that you need to know all the time. You do need to know, like, the numbers on the back of your credit card. There's like these different things, but there's some things that you just don't need to collect, definitely don't need to save, and make sure you get rid of it as fast as possible.
Yeah, like giving your credit card number over the phone so they
Yeah.
write it down. Why don't you just make a PayPal account that I could just PayPal you the money?
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, don't make it look like you don't know what you're doing with this stuff. Like, when we put a QR code on the album art here as more as like as a funny thing. Yeah, Easter egg. But it's already digital. Like, don't put a digital thing on top of a digital, because at that point you're just making yourself look dumb, because it's like, oh, so I have to pull my phone out so I can scan the QR code that's on the screen to go to the thing on my phone. It's like, okay, I suppose so. But if the only way someone's going to look at it, like, I wouldn't run an ad on YouTube and then put a QR code on the YouTube video. For one, they're probably watching YouTube on their phone, so you can't even scan it.
Exactly.
Which is what happened to Bridget, because I sent Bridget the art saying, hey, this is what we're going to use this week, and she goes, I'm not in front of my computer, I can't scan it. And I was like, oh yeah, that's true, huh? So, like, those are the types of things you want to, like, think about, because your customers are going to look at it and go like, cool, you joined the QR code bandwagon finally, and oh, by the way, you put it on a thing that I can't actually scan it on, because the scanner that I would be using is in my hand right now.
Well, I mean, even with my new book that's out, Rhonda and I made the landing page yesterday, but except for LinkedIn, I'm not really sending people to the landing page, because that's just another layer. I don't need to know. But if I do need to know, guess what? Shorten the link with bit.ly, and which is what I did. And I put that on Facebook, but it goes straight to the Amazon store. The landing page is there just because it's smart to have it, but it's not, you can't find it unless you know. It's just for search. It's not on my top navigation. Sometimes you do things like that just in case. But just send people where you want them to go. Stop making things complicated. You don't have to, like, okay, if you want to buy cigarettes at a liquor store, you got to ask, and then they'll give it to you. But you don't have to do that with a Snickers. You just grab it, put it on the thing, and buy it and go. You want to be seamless. You want it to be landing pages for search. That's what Rhonda said. That's exactly why we did it. That's why it's not on the navigation. It's just in case somebody searches that. And if they happen to see that instead of Instagram, stupid Amazon, not stupid, but Amazon, then you know what I mean? It's just for the internet. It's not for real people. And that's the thing, is like, what are people experiencing? You have to have that empathy. And sometimes you don't have the empathy unless you kind of collaborate with somebody. And like what you were saying, and I was like, I shut my computer down for the night. I've been trying to be like really good about that. Like, literally not closing it, putting it to sleep, shutting it down.
Right.
So that I have that extra layer. So for me, I did that so I don't work just because I can. But that's the whole thing. Don't add it. And we used to talk about this all the time at Give WP, Jason, for fundraising. Just let them donate the money. First, last email. That's all you need. And there's so many pages. Like, I went to donate to something. They were using authorized.net, which we always hated. Okay. It's the worst gateway ever. And then there was 4 pages I had to fill out. And I was almost like, I'm not going to donate. So any of those e-commerce situations, whether it's the menu, which is still e-commerce, like, you're not buying it on that website, but you're there with a digital layer to your shopping experience.
Right.
Make it as less frustrating as possible. Ask people, if if for some reason you're listening and you're the owner, or you work directly with the owner of the restaurant, your menu, ask your customers, how was that experience? And then if you use the right redirect service, then you could talk to your web developer and say, hey, can we do this? And he'll say, of course, or she'll say, of course, or they'll say, of course.
Yep.
Ask your customers. It's never a bad idea.
Yeah, I have one other thing to add before we get into our tour tip of the week, and that's something that uh, you're gonna go, oh, Jason, again, like you're gonna bring this up one more time, but you could use UTM codes.
No, I do that now. I do that now. You taught
So
me.
UTM code's great for this because if you're gonna make a bunch of redirects anyhow, a bunch of short URLs or any of this stuff, you need to use something like this because you can at least craft the stuff after your web address to figure out where did this QR code happen. So you can have a bunch of QR codes, and you're going to have one that's going to be on a flyer that you send out on Mondays. You're going to have another one that's going to be a flyer for Tuesdays, and you're going to have another one that happened on Mondays, but it's only for this zip code. And you have this other one that's going to be another flyer for only people with red hair, like however you want to structure it out. So UTM codes are great because you can look at the web address, the campaign source, the medium, the campaign name, its terms, as well as its content. And those are all those pieces that you essentially get to make the rules up for this. But down the road, you're going to be able to look at that analytics data and go, okay, QR codes obviously don't work for my demographic. Why am I spending the time generating QR codes? Or you look and you're like, okay, so obviously I should have done QR codes a long time ago because 80% of my inbound traffic is now through a QR code. Okay, I think I should have done QR codes a long time ago. So look at them, figure out what's the best way, and figure out, like, is this QR code thing going to actually work for you or not? And if you're going to spend the time doing it, spend that one extra second figuring out how to do UTM codes. And we've talked about these in the past. There's services that will generate them for you, like the one from Google, or you can generate it using something on your computer or even in your web browser to kind of just like generate that QR code on the fly, quick and easy.
So, speaking of tools, I'm like, I didn't know what my tool or tip of the week is. I built a tool. Okay. It's called Bitly. Thanks for reminding me. bit.ly/Cyber Monday Prep. It will ask you to copy this to your own Google Drive account. So you need to be signed in to the Google Drive account that you want to be in, because I don't want you messing up mine. But if you really don't want to do that, send me an email at hello@bridgetwillard.com and I will download it as an Excel file or something. But basically what it is 40 days to Cyber Monday Worksheet. It's like now until October 22nd is when you're going to start your 40 days. It goes on, tells you what you should be doing. Take an inventory of the top 10 products that will be on sale. If everything's on sale, then nothing's on sale. If everything's on sale, then nothing's on sale. Remember that. And then, so that's your task for October 22nd, October 23rd. Make a list of the products, including the URLs. And it has 2 tabs. It goes through like that. It tells you what to do. It gives you links to my friends that do work that I trust. And then the second tab helps you make your social posts for each URL. So there's 10 products. So there's 10 URLs. And it asks you to shorten them with a bit.ly. Thank you, Jason. And then
it took me a minute. I had to log in.
I know. See, you got to log in. And so actually one of my friends messaged me last night and said, your attachment didn't work in the email. And I just wanted to say, oh my gosh, email marketing doesn't have attachments, Larry. But anyway, I mean, he's my mortgage broker friend. He didn't know, it's not relevant to him, but it's fine. He's like, I just wanted you to know there was no attachment. And I'm like, yeah, I know there was no attachment. Like, people don't read. It literally says, you will be asked to copy this to your Google Drive. Anyway, see, I'm more educated than he is. Even I'm not an IT person. So I made this so that you can, now this could be whether you have a digital store or whether you're going to have a physical store. It's the same kind of work, like inventory, what's going to be on sale for Black Friday, or what your campaign is, nonprofits, for Giving Tuesday, and just change out that language. But basically, here are 40 days, and you get to take most of the weekends off, and it lists all the tasks that you should do. and helps you just get it done. 40 days to Cyber Monday worksheet. It's free. I made it because I love you and you need help. It's an intervention to all my friends who have e-commerce stores. Love, Bridget.
Yeah, I love that you added this whole section in here where you're able to prep the URLs, have your bit.ly, be able to kind of go through each one of these pieces. So that way, normal people don't know what social media marketers do, and they don't realize that there's actually some like planning that happens ahead of time, and
Zoom
that
in,
they're
you and I did a thing where it says, okay, so it says promo tweet, and it says the week before. And tweet 1 is the day of, tweet 2 is the day of, tweet 3 is the day of. So there's 4 tweets you have to write, different ones. Facebook post, day of, and if you scroll over, it will say maybe LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's going to be day of. And Instagram, if you insist. But that link in your bio better be the link to the things on sale, or people will be frustrated and they will bounce.
Uh-huh.
So it even tells you when to do it. So you can write it ahead or have a couple of people writing it together if you have a department, and I'm not getting anything for it and I don't want anything for it. I just know y'all need some help. There it is. I love you. That's my gift to the world.
Your gift to the world.
Well, seriously, the Black and then our friends that are digital people.
Oh yeah.
It's Black Friday is not for you. Black Friday is for stores that have physical place. Cyber Monday is for us who have digital products. But whatever. I mean, digital stores.
Right.
But some have both. So either way, just move the dates for Black Friday. And also, Small Business Saturday is the Saturday after Thanksgiving. Everybody thinks that's so far away, but you know what? It's not. Starting right now is going to guarantee you have success. You do a little bit a day, just like housework. Otherwise, it's going to be Thanksgiving and you have 10 people coming over and the turkey isn't thawed and you're not going to have a good experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's mine. So I was on Reddit one day and I was looking
as I do,
one day, 1 hour. And so I was looking on Reddit and somebody was I think they were talking about how can I get a photo of a place far, far away. So like this place is super far away. I want to see what my house looks like the house that I was growing up in. I don't necessarily want to look at something that's on Google Maps or any of those sorts of things. I want like a nice photo of it. Or I'm going to be selling real estate and I need to be able to get a couple photos of this house. And so I was like, oh, that's really interesting. How does that even work? And so, like with anything, there's always an Uber for something. And so this one in particular is an Uber for photos. And so the way that this works is you sign up for a service as either a photographer or as someone who needs a photo. And what they do is they'll send out someone like myself who went and signed up for this just to see how it works. And what they do is it's a crowdsourced way of being able to collect those photos that you need of either the property that you're selling or the property that you're going to be working on, and you want to send somebody out beforehand just to get an idea of what you're going to be working with, and any of that sort of thing. Google Maps and all these different places like that show essentially a snapshot in time of what the place looks like. So it makes sense to get a more up-to-date photo of what's actually going on there. So this company called ProxyPics, it's ProxyPics.com. They make a thing where you can be either the photographer or the person requesting, and you can also add additional things like if you needed to have someone who has greater skills, such as like if they're an inspector or if they're a lending agent or if they're a realtor, or there's a whole bunch of different things on here. For me, I don't have any of those extra talents. So I just want to take a photo and be done with it. And so one of the things that was on there, and I think I saw this show up again in a TikTok video where someone was saying like, here's how to make $50 taking 3 photos. And I was like, wait, I just saw this before. All right, I'll go take a look at it.
That's
so then
cool.
I started looking, I was like, this guy made $50 taking 3 photos of a house. And it's like this corner, in the front, straight ahead, and then submit it through the app and you're good to go. Well, Bridget, before we started the show, there was one in particular that was for $23 and you had to take like, I think it was like 20 pictures or something like that of this property. And that one's already gone.
Wow.
So they got snapped up super quick. So just like with Uber or Lyft or any of these rideshare companies, there's people that can like request to be picked up at a future date, and you can like kind of grab that up in the morning. I'd imagine, I've never really looked at this in the morning, but it looks like maybe people post them early in the morning and then you go and try to like grab them up as quickly as possible. So it's neat, and it kind of gives you an idea of like what the property is going to look like, and allows the person to, you know, go take the photos. If they need to do inspections or any of that sort of thing, they could do that too. And yeah, I think if you like doing photos, this might be something to look at, especially if you live in an area where this is a popular thing. You might be able to make some good money doing it on the side. But if you're someone who needs a photo, or maybe you're a realtor, and I'd imagine maybe realtors already know this and they're just rolling their eyes like, cool, Jason, thanks for finding the thing that we've been using for the last 5 years. But who knows? But go take a look at it and see if it's something that would help you out, and that you'd be able to actually make that happen.
Yeah, that looks rad.
Yeah, it's free, and they have an API. So if you wanted to like tie it into some, you know, something that your company's using, like you wanted to crowdsource photos for, you know, for your mobile app or whatever, this might be a good way of doing it. But I think if you're a realtor, especially a realtor that's pretty small, and you just need a couple photos, that then down the road you'll go over there with your 360 cameras and all your fun stuff and do all of that. But for this, it's just like you just need a good photo on the outside, and
yeah,
you're kind of good to go there.
That's a really good plan.
You know, one thing I was thinking about when we're kind of doing our shows is we always get all these comments that are probably just a little too late. And I don't know how, like, what's like, for instance, like Warren's coming in here saying like, you know, great topic, guys, it's relevant. Like, should I show these things? Like, what do you guys think in the chat? Is this something that I should be like quickly going through and showing these things at the end of it, just so you can kind of see what folks were saying? Because sometimes we miss it. Oh, it looks like Warren says yes. Oh no, Bridget's frozen. Hopefully I'm not the one frozen. Yeah, it looks like Bridget. If Bridget's frozen, let me know in the chat, because it looks like she's frozen to me. And if that's the case, then we'll close on up. All right, folks. Well, that's about it for today. I want to say thank you very much for coming and hanging out with us on the show. Really appreciate it. You can go over to our website over at wpwatercooler.com and go take a look at the shows that we have available there. We'd really appreciate it. Here's our outro. Thanks. Go support us over on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/WPWatercooler. We'd really appreciate it. Here's the fine folks that have helped us out. Again, we appreciate you for helping us out over there. Go hit the little subscribe button. Make sure you click the bell so you'll be notified of the next time that our show is available. And if you didn't know, this show is available as a podcast. You can actually subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, as well as Stitcher, YouTube, Spotify, all of those sorts of things. Feel free to go take a look at us over there. We really appreciate it. You have a good rest of your day. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.